Who took your virginity? The question sliced through the silence of the dimly lit office like a blade. Dante Moretti stood behind his massive Mahari desk, his dark eyes burning with an intensity that made the air feel thinner. He was a mountain of a man, 6'4", broad-shouldered, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit that screamed power and danger. At 35, he commanded the Moretti Empire with an iron fist, feared by every criminal organization from Rome to New York. Across from him, trembling but defiant, stood Sofia Valentino. 23, with cascading dark hair and eyes like melted chocolate, she clutched her purse against her chest. She'd been hired as his personal assistant 3 days ago, vetted by his most trusted men. But tonight, after working late on confidential documents, he'd asked her to stay. And now this question. "My stepfather," she whispered, her voice breaking. The words had barely left her lips when Dante's fist slammed into the desk with such force that the wood cracked. His jaw clenched, veins bulging in his neck as rage consumed him. Every muscle in his body went rigid. Sofia flinched, stepping backward. "Your stepfather," he repeated, his voice deadly calm now, which was somehow worse than the explosion. "How old were you?" 16, she breathed. Something shifted in Dante's eyes, a darkness that went beyond his usual cold demeanor. He moved around the desk with predatory grace, stopping just inches from her, close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. "Did you report him?" His voice was a low rumble. "He's dead now," Sofia said flatly. "Car accident 2 years ago." Dante's hand came up slowly, and Sofia's breath caught. But he didn't touch her. His fingers hovered near her cheek, trembling with restraint. "If he wasn't already dead, I would have killed him myself, slowly." The raw violence in his words should have terrified her. Instead, something warm unfurled in her chest. No one had ever looked at her with such protective fury. "Why do you care?" she whispered. Dante's jaw tightened. He stepped back abruptly, putting necessary distance between them. "You work for me. That makes you mine to protect." The next morning, Sofia arrived at the Moretti Tower at precisely 8 o'clock. The sleek skyscraper dominated the Milan skyline, a monument to Dante's legitimate business empire, though everyone whispered about what funded it. She rode the private elevator to the penthouse level, her heart racing as it had all night. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Dante's face, that moment when his control nearly shattered. No one had ever reacted to her trauma with such visceral rage. Her mother had blamed her. Her friends had drifted away. But this dangerous man, this mafia boss she'd known for less than a week, had looked ready to resurrect her stepfather, just to kill him again. The elevator doors opened to reveal Marco, Dante's second-in-command, waiting for her. He was handsome in a cold, calculating way, with sharp features and calculating blue eyes. "Signorina Valentino," he said with a slight bow. "The boss wants to see you immediately." Sofia's stomach flipped. She followed Marco through the corridor to Dante's office, her heels clicking on marble floors. He opened the door, and she stepped inside. Dante stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed his city. He didn't turn when she entered. "Close the door," he commanded. She obeyed, pressing her back against it. The silence stretched until her nerves were raw. "I've arranged for you to see someone," Dante said finally, still not looking at her. "Dr. Elena Rossi. She's the best trauma therapist in Italy. Completely confidential. Your appointment is this afternoon at 3. Sofia's breath caught. "Sir, I don't need—" It wasn't a request. Now he turned, and the look in his eyes stole her words. "What happened to you was not your fault, but you're carrying it like a weight that will crush you eventually. Let her help you carry it." Tears burned behind her eyes. She blinked them back furiously. "Why are you doing this?" Dante crossed the room with those long, powerful strides. He stopped close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his gaze. His hand rose, and this time he did touch her. Just his fingertips beneath her chin, tilting her face up. "Because when I look at you," he said quietly, "I see something precious that the world tried to break. And I protect what's mine." That evening, after her therapy session, Sophia returned to her small apartment in a daze. Dr. Rossi had been gentle but probing, and for the first time in years, Sophia had spoken about that night, about the nights after, about the shame and fear she'd carried like chains. She was making tea when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "There's a package at your door." DM. Sophia's heart skipped. She opened her door to find a large black box tied with a silver ribbon. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was the most beautiful dress she'd ever seen. Deep emerald silk that would complement her complexion perfectly. Beneath it, a note in bold, masculine handwriting. "Wear this tomorrow night. I'm taking you to dinner." Not a request. Dante Sophia pressed the dress to her chest, a smile tugging at her lips despite herself. Then reality crashed back. This was her boss, a mafia boss, a man who could destroy her with a word. Getting involved with him would be insane. But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was the way he'd looked at her when she said the word, stepfather. Like he wanted to burn down the world for her. The following evening, Dante's driver collected Sophia at 7 sharp. She wore the emerald dress, which fit like it had been made for her, because it had, she realized. Dante must have had his people gather her measurements somehow. The car glided through Milan's streets to a restaurant she'd only read about in magazines. Ristorante Castello was housed in a converted palazzo, accessible only to the wealthy and powerful. As she stepped out, Dante was waiting. He looked devastating in a charcoal suit, his dark hair swept back, his strong jaw clean-shaven. But it was his eyes that caught her, the way they darkened when he saw her in the dress, the way his gaze traveled from her face down her body and back up with barely restrained hunger. "Bellissima," he murmured, offering his arm. Sophia took it, feeling the corded muscle beneath expensive fabric. He led her inside, where the maître d' practically bowed. They were shown to a private balcony overlooking the city, candlelight flickering between them. "This is too much," Sophia said, as Dante held out her chair. "For you, impossible." He sat across from her, his presence commanding even in relaxation. "Tell me something, Sophia. What do you dream about?" The question surprised her. She'd expected small talk, maybe business. "I don't understand. When you were a little girl, before everything went dark, what did you want to be?" Sophia's throat tightened. No one had asked her that in years. "A photographer," she admitted. "I wanted to travel the world, capture moments that mattered." "Why did you stop?" "Life happened. Bills. Survival." She met his gaze. "Dreams are luxuries for people who aren't just trying to get through the day." Dante's expression hardened. "Not anymore. Tomorrow, you'll find a photography studio membership in your name. Top-of-the-line equipment. And next month, you're taking a week off to go wherever you want. Photograph whatever calls to you." "Dante, I can't accept." "You can. You will." His hand reached across the table, covering hers. The touch sent electricity racing up her arm. "Let me give you back the dreams he stole." Later that night, as Dante's driver took them back through the city, Sophia felt dizzy with emotion. The dinner had been perfect. Conversation flowing easily, laughter coming naturally. Dante had stories that made her sides ache, a dry wit hidden beneath his dangerous exterior. And the way he looked at her, like she was the only woman in the world. The car stopped outside her building. Dante walked her to her door despite her protests. "Thank you," Sophia said, fumbling with her keys. "For dinner. For everything." Dante stepped closer, backing her against the door. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone. "Sophia," he breathed, and her name on his lips was a prayer. "Tell me to leave." She should. This was madness, but her body betrayed her, swaying toward him. "I can't." His control snapped. Dante's mouth crashed down on hers, and Sophia's world exploded. He kissed like he did everything else, with absolute dominance and devastating skill. His other hand slid into her hair, angling her head for deeper access. Sophia melted against him, her hands fisting in his jacket. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "This is dangerous," he rasped. "Being near me, wanting me. It puts you at risk." "I don't care." "You should." But even as he said it, he kissed her again, softer this time. Reverent. "I'm not a good man, Sophia. I've done terrible things." "Then why do I feel safer with you than I've ever felt with anyone?" A few days later, Sophia was settling into a new rhythm. Work during the day, where Dante was professional, but his eyes followed her constantly. Evenings where he'd appear at her apartment with food, flowers, small gifts, each one chosen with thoughtfulness that made her heart ache. But she was learning about his world, too. The hushed phone calls, the visits from dangerous-looking men, the nights he'd disappear and return with bruised knuckles and shadows in his eyes. One evening, Marco appeared at her desk. "The boss wants you in the conference room." Sophia found Dante with 6 other men, all hard-eyed, armed, speaking in rapid Italian about shipments and territories. They fell silent when she entered. Dante's expression shifted from cold authority to something warmer. "Gentlemen, this is Sophia. You will protect her as you would protect me. Anyone who touches her answers to me personally." The men nodded, and Sophia saw something like pity in their eyes. They knew what Dante's protection meant, what being claimed by him meant. After they left, Sophia confronted him. "You can't just declare ownership of me in front of your men." "I can. I did." Dante pulled her close, his hands on her waist. "You don't understand what you've become to me. Every moment you're not in my sight, I'm calculating threats. Every man who looks at you, I'm deciding how to eliminate him. I'm obsessed with you, Sophia. Dangerously so. That's not healthy. Nothing about us is healthy. But it's real." He kissed her forehead. "And I won't apologize for protecting what's mine." The following week brought new complications. A corporate lawyer named Alessandro began frequenting Dante's office. Young, charming, from old Italian money. He had legitimate business with the Moretti Empire, but his eyes lingered on Sophia in ways that made her uncomfortable. One afternoon, Alessandro cornered her by the coffee machine. "Dinner tonight, Bella. I know a place that makes the best carbonara in Milan." "I'm not interested," Sophia said firmly. "Playing hard to get?" "I like that." He stepped closer, and Sophia backed against the counter. "Come on, one dinner. What could it hurt?" She said no. Dante's voice was Arctic death. Alessandro spun to find him standing in the doorway, and Sophia saw the younger man pale. Dante crossed the room with deadly purpose, positioning himself between them. "Touch her again," Dante said softly, "and I'll break every bone in your hand. Look at her like that again, and I'll remove your eyes. Are we clear?" Alessandro stammered an apology and fled. Dante turned to Sophia, his rage barely contained. "Did he hurt you?" "No, I'm fine." Dante pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. She felt him trembling, this powerful man undone by the thought of her being threatened. "I can't lose you," he whispered into her hair. "I can't." That evening, Dante took Sophia to his private estate outside Milan, a sprawling villa surrounded by olive groves and protected by guards. He led her through marble halls to a library that took her breath away. "This is where I come when the world becomes too much," he said, pouring them wine. "I wanted to share it with you." They sat by the fireplace, and Sophia curled into his side. It felt natural, right? Despite every logical reason it shouldn't. "Tell me about your family," she said. Dante's jaw tightened. "My father built this empire on blood. He taught me that love was weakness, that caring for anyone made you vulnerable. Then he died in a rival's ambush when I was 22. I've spent 13 years proving him wrong while becoming exactly what he made me. You're not weak for caring about me. No, but I'm vulnerable now in ways I never was before." He turned her face up to his. "You could destroy me, Sophia. With a word, a look, a choice to leave. You hold more power over me than any enemy ever has." The honesty in his words stole her breath. Sophia kissed him, pouring everything she felt into it. Gratitude, desire, the terrifying realization that she was falling for this complicated, dangerous man. Dante responded with matching intensity, his hand sliding into her hair. "Stay," he murmured against her lips. "Stay here tonight. Let me hold you." Later that night, in Dante's vast bedroom, Sophia lay wrapped in his arms. They'd done nothing but kiss, touch, whisper confessions in the dark, but the intimacy felt deeper than anything physical. "I've never felt this before," Sophia admitted. "This safe, this cherished." "Good." Dante's arms tightened around her. "You were made to be cherished, amore mio. Every day, I'll prove it to you." She drifted off to his heartbeat, steady and strong beneath her cheek. The next morning, Sophia woke to find Dante's side of the bed empty, but still warm. She heard voices downstairs, tense, angry. Wrapping herself in his shirt, she crept to the landing. "Is a liability, Dante. The Ricci family knows about her." Marco's voice was sharp. "They'll use her against you." "Then we increase security." Dante's tone left no room for argument. "That's not enough. She's a target now. Being with you has painted a mark on her back. The smart move—" "Don't." Dante's voice dropped to something lethal. "Don't suggest what I think you're suggesting. She's one girl. Is she worth risking everything you've built?" The silence that followed made Sophia's heart pound. Then Dante spoke, quiet and absolute. "I would burn this entire empire to ash before I let anyone hurt her. She's not a liability. She's my reason. And anyone who can't accept that can leave." Sophia pressed her hand to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. A few days later, everything fell apart. Sophia was walking to her car after work when a black van screeched to a stop beside her. Men in masks grabbed her, dragging her inside before she could scream. A cloth pressed to her face, and the world went dark. She woke in a cold room, hands bound to a chair. A man circled her, older, with a scar bisecting his face. Vittore Ricci, she realized with horror, Dante's oldest enemy. "Finally awake, Bellissima?" Vittore smiled, and it was nothing like Dante's rare smiles. This was predatory, cruel. "Don't worry. We're just going to have a little chat about your boyfriend. Then we'll see if Dante Moretti is willing to trade his empire for one very pretty girl." Meanwhile, Dante had returned to his office to find Sophia gone, her purse on her desk, her coat still hanging on the rack. His blood ran cold. "Marco!" His roar brought his men running. "Find her! Now!" Within minutes, security footage showed the abduction. Dante watched it 3 times, his rage building with each replay. When he finally spoke, his voice was eerily calm. "Call everyone. Every soldier, every contact, every debt owed. We're going to war." Marco hesitated. "Dante, if we move against the Riccis, half the families in Italy will— I don't care." Dante's fist slammed into the wall, leaving a crater. She is everything. The Empire means nothing without her. Get my weapons. Get my men. And find out where they're holding her before I lose what little control I have left. Sophia had been in the Ricci compound for 6 hours when Dante's assault began. She heard the first explosion, felt the walls shake. Vittore cursed and left her guarded by 2 men. Then the lights went out. Gunfire erupted, sharp cracks, and shouted orders. One of her guards rushed toward the noise, leaving a younger man watching her nervously. The door exploded inward. Dante appeared like an avenging angel, covered in blood that wasn't his own, a gun in each hand. His eyes found Sophia, and something in his face cracked. "Close your eyes, Amore," he said gently. Sophia squeezed them shut. She heard 2 shots, 2 bodies hitting the floor. Then Dante was cutting her bonds, pulling her into his arms. "I've got you. I've got you." He buried his face in her hair, and she felt him shaking. "Did they hurt you?" "No. I'm okay. We need to move." He pulled back, cupping her face. "Stay behind me. Don't look at anything. Just follow my voice." He led her through chaos, bodies, smoke, his men securing the compound. Sophia kept her eyes on Dante's broad back, trusting him completely. Outside, he lifted her into an SUV and climbed in beside her, never letting go of her hand as they sped away. Back at his estate, Dante carried Sophia straight to his room, despite her protests that she could walk. He set her on the bed and knelt before her, running his hands over her arms, her legs, checking for injuries. "I'm fine," Sophia insisted. "Dante, look at me. I'm okay." His hand stilled. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. "When I saw that footage of them taking you, something broke inside me. I realized I would do anything, destroy anything, to get you back. The Empire, my legacy, my life, all of it means nothing if you're not there." Sophia slid off the bed into his arms, and they held each other on the floor of his bedroom as the weight of what happened crashed over them both. "I was so scared," she whispered. "Not of them. Of never seeing you again. Never." Dante pulled back to look at her, his intense gaze burning through her. "You're mine, Sophia. My woman. My heart. My everything. No one will ever take you from me again." He kissed her then, and it was different from before. Desperate, claiming, a promise sealed with touch. Sophia melted into him, her hands fisting in his blood-stained shirt. "I need you," Dante breathed against her lips. "I need to feel you, to know you're real and safe and mine." "Yes," Sophia whispered. "Please, Dante. Make me forget everything but you." He lifted her effortlessly, carrying her to the bed. His hands were gentle despite the violence they'd wrought hours before, undressing her like she was something sacred. Sophia's hands shook as she unbuttoned his shirt, revealing the powerful chest beneath, the scars that told stories of his dangerous life. "You're beautiful," he murmured, his gaze roaming over her. "So damn beautiful it hurts to look at you." "Then don't look." Sophia pulled him down to her. "Just feel." What happened next was tender and fierce, desperate and reverent. Dante worshipped every inch of her, murmuring Italian endearments against her skin. He was gentle where her stepfather had been brutal, patient where others might have rushed, attuned to every gasp and sigh. When they finally came together, Sophia felt something break open inside her. All the walls she'd built, all the fear she'd carried. In Dante's arms, with his heart pounding against hers, she was remade, claimed, cherished. Afterward, they lay tangled together, skin against skin, hearts finding a shared rhythm. "I love you," Dante said into the darkness. "I've never said those words before. But with you, I can't hold them back. I love you, Sophia Valentino, completely, irrevocably." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too," I don't know when it happened, but I do. So much it terrifies me. Don't be afraid, he kissed her forehead. I'll protect this. I'll protect us, no matter what it costs. The next morning, Sophia woke alone again, but this time she found a note. Had to handle some business. Marco is outside your door. Don't leave the estate. I'll explain everything tonight. She showered and dressed, then found Marco waiting in the hall. The boss wants you safe, he said without preamble. After last night. What happened after we left? Marco's expression darkened. Dante destroyed the Ricci organization. Completely. Vittore is dead, his men scattered or sworn to us. It was brutal. Sophia processed this. Dante had declared war and won in a single night. For her. That evening, Dante returned, looking exhausted, but grimly satisfied. He found Sophia in the library and pulled her into his arms, without a word, just holding her. It's done, he finally said. The threat is eliminated. But Sophia, I need you to understand something. This is my world. Violence, danger, enemies who would use you to hurt me. I can protect you, but I can't promise it will always be safe. I don't need safe, Sophia said, pulling back to look at him. I need you. And if your world comes with danger, then we face it together. Dante's expression softened. You're sure? Because once I truly claim you, there's no going back. You'll be mine in every way that matters. The Moretti Queen. My wife. Sophia's breath caught. Wife? Dante reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring, a stunning emerald, surrounded by diamonds. He dropped to one knee right there in the library. Sophia Valentino, you walked into my life and changed everything. You made me believe in love, in hope, in something beyond power and control. Marry me. Let me spend every day of my life proving I'm worthy of you. Let me give you back all the dreams that were stolen and create new ones together. Be my wife, my partner, my everything. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. Yes. God, yes, Dante. 1,000 times, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and stood, lifting her into his arms and spinning her around. When he set her down, he kissed her with such joy that Sophia laughed against his lips. When? She asked. As soon as possible. Dante's eyes gleamed. I've waited 35 years for you, amore. I'm not waiting any longer than necessary to make you mine in every way. 2 weeks later, they were married in a private ceremony at his estate. Sophia wore white lace. Dante wore black. And when the priest pronounced them husband and wife, the kiss they shared made even the hardened mafia soldiers in attendance look away with soft smiles. The reception was elegant but intimate, just close family and trusted allies. As they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Dante whispered in her ear, "You've made me the happiest man alive." "You've given me everything I thought I'd lost," Sophia whispered back. "Hope, dreams, love, a future." "Our future," Dante corrected, "and it starts now." 3 months into their marriage, Sophia woke one morning feeling strange, dizzy, nauseous, overwhelmingly tired. When she mentioned it to Dante over breakfast, his eyes widened. "When was your last—" "I'm late," Sophia realized, pressing a hand to her stomach. "Oh my God, I'm late!" Dante was out of his chair instantly, kneeling beside her. "Could you be pregnant?" "Maybe. I don't know." She looked at him with wide eyes. "How do you feel about that?" The smile that split his face was pure joy. "How do I feel about you carrying my child, about starting a family, with the woman I love more than life itself?" He pulled her into his arms. "Like all my prayers have been answered." The pregnancy test confirmed it that afternoon. Dante held Sophia as they both stared at the positive result, overwhelmed. "We're having a baby," Sophia breathed. "A family," Dante's voice cracked. "You're giving me a family, Sophia. Something I never thought I deserved." "You deserve everything," Sophia said fiercely, turning in his arms. "You're going to be an amazing father. I'll protect both of you with my life." His hand splayed across her still flat stomach. "No one will ever hurt either of you. I swear it." The months that followed were transformative. Dante's men marveled at how their boss had softened, still deadly when necessary, but with something gentler beneath the surface now. He attended every doctor's appointment, read parenting books in secret, and completely transformed a wing of the estate into a nursery. Sophia bloomed under his devoted care. He hired the best doctors, ensured she wanted for nothing, and was somehow even more protective than before. When she complained about being coddled, he'd just kiss her and say, "You're carrying my world. Let me take care of you." 7 months into the pregnancy, a new threat emerged. A rival family thought Dante, weakened by impending fatherhood, made a move. They were wrong. Dante eliminated the threat in 48 hours with surgical precision, then returned home to Sophia. She was resting in bed, their baby moving beneath her hands. "Is it done?" she asked, as he sat beside her. "It's done. You're safe. The baby's safe." He placed his hand over hers, feeling their child kick. "That's all that matters." "You're all that matters to me," Sophia said, lacing their fingers together. "You and this little one. My family." Dante kissed her, slow and sweet. "My family," he echoed. "My redemption. My everything." 2 months later, Sophia went into labor in the middle of the night. Dante, the man who faced down armed enemies without flinching, went pale. Okay. We rehearsed this." He grabbed the hospital bag with shaking hands. "Car, hospital, breathing. I can do this." "Dante." Sophia gripped his hand through a contraction. "You fought wars. You can handle this." "Fighting wars is easy," he muttered, helping her down the stairs. "This is terrifying." But when they reached the hospital, Dante transformed. He held Sophia's hand through every contraction, whispered encouragement, let her squeeze his fingers until they went numb. And when their daughter finally entered the world with a lusty cry, he wept openly. "She's perfect," he breathed, watching the nurses clean their baby. "Sophia, she's perfect." When they placed their daughter in Sophia's arms, Dante sat beside them, wrapping both his girls in a careful embrace. "What should we name her?" Sophia asked, looking down at tiny features that already held hints of both parents. "Lucia," Dante said immediately. "It means light, because that's what you both are. My light in the darkness." Sophia smiled through happy tears. "Lucia Moretti. It's perfect." 6 weeks later, Sophia stood on the balcony of their bedroom, watching the sun rise over the olive groves. Dante came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Can't sleep," he murmured, kissing her neck. "Just thinking." She leaned back against his chest. "A year ago, I was alone, broken, just surviving. Now I'm married to the love of my life with a beautiful daughter sleeping down the hall. It doesn't feel real." "It's real." Dante turned her to face him, his eyes intense. "Every moment of happiness, every day of peace, every night in my arms, it's all real. And it's forever, amore mio. I'll love you until my last breath and beyond." Sophia pulled him down for a kiss, pouring everything she felt into it. When they finally pulled apart, they could hear Lucia fussing through the baby monitor. "I'll get her," Dante said immediately. Sophia watched him go, this powerful man who ruled a criminal empire but melted completely for his daughter. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, the trauma, the danger, the fear. All of it had led to this moment, this family, this love. Later, sitting in the nursery watching Dante rock Lucia back to sleep, Sophia knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she belonged, in the arms of a dangerous man who loved her completely, mother to his child, queen of his empire, and she had never been happier. 18 months after Lucia's birth, Sophia stood in Dante's office at Moretti Tower, holding their daughter on her hip while reviewing photographs spread across his desk. She'd launched her photography business 6 months ago, and it was thriving. Portraits of families, corporate events, even some work documenting legitimate aspects of Dante's empire. "Mama, down!" Lucia demanded, squirming in her arms. Sophia set her daughter down, watching as she toddled immediately to Dante's chair, where he sat on a phone call. Without breaking his conversation about shipping routes, Dante lifted Lucia onto his lap, letting her play with his watch while he worked. The sight made Sophia's heart clench. Who would have thought the feared Dante Moretti would be undone by a curly-haired toddler? Marco entered, his expression grim. "Boss, we have a situation." Dante's eyes flicked to Sophia and Lucia. "Take them to the secure room." "Dante," Sophia started. "Now, Marco." 20 minutes later, locked in the reinforced panic room with Lucia and 2 guards, Sophia's phone buzzed. Russians making a move. Nothing to worry about. Stay put until I come for you. But Sophia did worry. She always did when Dante faced danger. Later that evening, Dante found them in the panic room. Lucia was asleep in Sophia's arms, exhausted from crying for her papa. The moment the door opened and Lucia saw him, she reached out with a sob. "Papa." Dante gathered them both in his arms, his face buried in Sophia's hair. "It's over. We're safe." Back in their bedroom that night, after Lucia was settled with her nanny, Sophia confronted him. "How long can we keep doing this? Living with constant threats?" Dante pulled her close. "I've been working on something, a way to transition more of the empire to legitimate business. It will take time, maybe years. But for you and Lucia, I'll do it." "You'd give up everything you've built?" "No." He tilted her chin up. "I'd transform it, make it something our daughter can be proud of. Something that doesn't require you to spend half your life in panic rooms." Sophia kissed him, grateful and awed. "I love you. And I love you, both of you, enough to change the world." The next morning brought unexpected news. Sophia took 3 pregnancy tests before she believed them all. Positive. Again. When Dante came home that evening, she met him at the door with Lucia in one arm and a wrapped box in the other. "What's this?" he asked, taking the box. "Open it." Inside was a tiny Moretti Industries onesie with "Future CEO" embroidered on it. Dante stared at it for a long moment, before understanding dawned. "You're pregnant?" Sophia nodded, suddenly nervous. "I know Lucia is still so young, and we didn't plan." Dante crushed his mouth to hers, kissing her breathless, while Lucia giggled between them. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. "Another baby," he breathed. "Another piece of you and me in this world. Sophia, you've given me everything." A few days later, Sophia was editing photos in her home studio when her assistant, a young woman named Bianca, rushed in looking panicked. "Sophia, there's a man here. He says he's your father." Sophia's blood ran cold. She hadn't seen her biological father since she was 5 years old, when he'd abandoned her and her mother. "Tell him to leave." But the man pushed past Bianca into the studio. Giuseppe Valentino looked older, harder, desperate. "Sophia, please, just hear me out. You have 30 seconds before I call security." "I'm dying," he said bluntly. "Liver cancer. 6 months at most. I know I have no right to ask, but I wanted to meet my granddaughter before—" "No." Sophia's voice was ice. "You walked away. You don't get to walk back in now that you're dying. I made mistakes. You abandoned a 5-year-old child. You left me with a mother who blamed me for your leaving, who married a monster who—" Sophia's voice broke. That's when Dante appeared in the doorway, his presence filling the room. He took in the scene instantly. Sophia's tears, the stranger who made her shake, the protective way she'd positioned herself between him and where Lucia played upstairs. "Who is this?" Dante asked quietly, but his tone promised violence. "My father," Sophia said bitterly. "He was just leaving." Giuseppe's eyes widened at Dante. Everyone knew who Dante Moretti was. "Please, I just want to know my granddaughter." "You know nothing," Dante said, moving to stand beside Sophia. "You forfeited that right 23 years ago. And if you ever come near my wife or daughter again, I'll make sure your last 6 months are spent in agony. Marco, escort this man out. Permanently." That night, Sophia lay in Dante's arms, emotionally drained. "He has no right," she whispered, "to show up now, dying, wanting forgiveness or closure or whatever he's seeking." "He has no right," Dante agreed, stroking her hair. "But Amore, holding on to that anger, it will eat you alive. I'm not saying forgive him, I'm saying release it. Not for him. For you. How can you be so wise about this when you're ready to kill anyone who looks at me wrong?" Dante's chest rumbled with laughter. "Because when it comes to you, I'm completely irrational. When it comes to your healing, I'm clear-headed." He tilted her face up. "You've overcome so much. Don't let him steal any more of your peace." Sophia kissed him, grateful for this man who somehow always knew what she needed. 2 weeks later, Dante surprised Sophia with a trip to Positano. They left Lucia with his trusted sister Gabriella and escaped to a cliffside villa overlooking the Mediterranean. "When's the last time we had time alone?" Dante asked, leading her onto the terrace where dinner was set up under the stars. "Before Lucia was born," Sophia admitted, settling into his arms. "This is perfect." They ate slowly, talking about everything and nothing. When Dante pulled her up to dance to music drifting from inside, Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. "What's wrong, amore?" "Nothing. Everything is so right it scares me, like it's too perfect to last." Dante stopped dancing, cupping her face. "Listen to me. What we have, this love, this family, it's not going anywhere. I've faced down death 100 times. I've survived wars, betrayals, enemies who wanted me dead. But nothing has ever been as certain as my love for you. Nothing." That night, they made love with the ocean breeze cooling their heated skin, whispering promises and devotions until words gave way to sensation. The next morning, they were having breakfast when Dante's phone rang. His expression darkened as he listened. "When?" A pause. "I understand. Increase security. We'll be home in 3 hours." He hung up and looked at Sophia with regret. "Giuseppe collapsed. He's in the hospital. Your mother is there, and she's demanding to see you." Sophia's stomach clenched. Her mother. Another ghost from a past she'd tried to bury. "I don't want to go." "Then we won't." Dante took her hand. "You owe them nothing, Sophia. Not your presence, not your forgiveness, not a single moment of your time." But something in Sophia's chest tightened. "What if I regret it? Not going. Not saying whatever needs to be said." "Then we go." Dante stood, already texting Marco. "But we do it together. And the moment you want to leave, we're gone." 3 hours later, they walked into Milan General Hospital. Sophia's mother, Maria, stood in the hallway outside Giuseppe's room, still beautiful despite the years, but with a hardness around her eyes. "Sophia," she breathed. Then her gaze went to Dante. Fear flickered across her face. Everyone knew who he was. "Mama," Sophia said coolly, "what do you want?" "Your father is asking for you. Please, he doesn't have much time." He stopped being my father when I was 5 years old. Maria flinched. I know I wasn't perfect. You married a man who raped your daughter, Sophia said flatly, and Maria went white. You knew. You chose to look away. So don't stand there pretending you were just imperfect. You were complicit. Dante's hand tightened on Sophia's, silently supportive. I was scared, Maria whispered. He said he'd kill us both if I told anyone. Then you should have run, protected me, done literally anything except pretend it wasn't happening. Sophia's voice cracked. I was a child, Mama. I needed you, and you chose him. In the heavy silence, Giuseppe's doctor emerged. Miss Valentino? Your father's asking for you. He's fading fast. Sophia looked at Dante. He squeezed her hand. Your choice, amore. I'm here either way. Taking a deep breath, Sophia nodded. 5 minutes, that's all. Giuseppe looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and monitors surrounding him. When he saw Sophia, tears leaked from his eyes. Thank you for coming, he rasped. I'm not here for you, Sophia said, standing at the foot of the bed with Dante's hand firm in hers. I'm here so I can live with myself later. So say whatever you need to say. I'm sorry, Giuseppe's voice broke. For leaving. For not being there. For every way I failed you as a father. I know it doesn't matter now, but I need you to know. I thought about you every day. Wondered who you became. If you were happy. I am happy, Sophia said quietly. Despite you. Despite what came after you left. I found love, built a family, created a life I'm proud of, and none of it had anything to do with you. I'm glad. Giuseppe's breathing labored. Your daughter, Lucia. I saw pictures. She's beautiful. She is. And she'll never know you. She'll grow up with a father who would die before abandoning her, who protects her and cherishes her, and shows up every single day. Everything you weren't. Giuseppe nodded weakly. I deserve that. I deserve all your anger. He looked at Dante. Take care of them. Don't make my mistakes. I won't, Dante said coldly. Because unlike you, I understand that family isn't just blood. It's showing up, fighting for them, choosing them every day. Concepts you never grasped. They left 10 minutes later. Giuseppe died that night. Sophia didn't cry. She'd mourned the father she never had years ago. But in the car on the way home, she turned to Dante. Thank you for being there. Always, he said simply. For everything, amore. The good, the bad, the complicated. Always. 4 months later, Sophia's pregnancy was showing. Dante had become even more protective, if that was possible. He'd had a state-of-the-art security system installed in their home, hired additional guards, and insisted on personally vetting everyone who came near her. You're being ridiculous, Sophia said one morning as he questioned the new gardener. Someone tried to poison you last month, Dante said flatly. It was an accident. The chef didn't know I was allergic to shellfish. I fired him anyway. Dante pulled her close, his hand splaying over her rounded belly. Humor me, amore. I can't lose you. I can't lose this baby. So let me be overprotective and paranoid. Sophia softened, rising on her toes to kiss him. Fine. But you're explaining to Lucia why she can't pet the neighbor's puppy without a security check. That evening, they were having dinner when Marco burst in, blood streaming from a cut on his temple. Boss, we have a breach. Someone got past the perimeter guards. Dante was on his feet instantly. Get Sophia and Lucia to the safe room now. I'm not leaving you, Sophia said, standing. Yes, you are. Dante's voice was steel. Please, Sophia. For me, for our babies, go. The sound of gunfire made the decision for her. Marco grabbed her arm, half dragging her toward the panic room, while Dante shouted orders into his phone. In the reinforced room, Sophia clutched a crying Lucia, her heart pounding. She could hear muffled shots, shouts, chaos above them. Minutes felt like hours. Then silence. The door opened, and Dante stood there, blood on his shirt, fury in his eyes. "It's handled." Sophia rushed to him, checking for injuries. "Are you hurt?" "It's not my blood." He pulled them both close. A rival family. They're dealt with. "How many more times?" Sophia's voice broke. "How many more times do we do this?" "No more." Dante's jaw set. "I'm done. I'm calling a meeting with all the families tomorrow. This ends now." The next day, Dante convened the largest gathering of Italian crime families in a decade. Sophia watched via secure video feed as he stood before them. Powerful, commanding, dangerous. "I'm transitioning out," he announced, and the room erupted in shocked murmurs. "The Moretti Empire will go legitimate within 2 years. Anyone who has a problem with that can voice it now." Silence. No one was fool enough to challenge Dante Moretti directly. "My family was attacked in my own home," Dante continued, his voice dropping to something lethal. "My pregnant wife and my daughter were put in danger. That's unacceptable. So here's what's going to happen. I'm getting out. I'm taking my family somewhere safe. And anyone who follows us, threatens us, or even looks at them wrong will discover exactly why people fear the Moretti name. Are we clear?" Heads nodded around the room. 2 weeks later, Sophia stood in an empty penthouse in New York City. Dante had decided a fresh start in America was their best option. Far from Italian family politics, with new opportunities for legitimate business. "What do you think?" Dante asked, coming up behind her. "It's perfect." Sophia leaned back against him. "A new beginning for all of us. Lucia will love Central Park," Dante mused, "and the new baby will grow up somewhere you can actually take them to the playground without bodyguards." "There will still be bodyguards," Sophia said dryly. "Fewer bodyguards," Dante amended with a smile. 3 months later, Sophia went into labor again. This time Dante was calmer, more prepared. He held her hand through every contraction, whispered encouragement. And when their son entered the world with a lusty cry, he wept just as he had for Lucia. "Alessandro," Dante said, when the nurse placed their son in his arms. "Defender of mankind. That's what he'll be." Sophia watched her husband cradle their newborn son, Lucia sleeping in a nearby chair after meeting her brother, and felt overwhelming gratitude. They'd survived so much: trauma, danger, enemies, ghosts from the past. And through it all, this love had endured. 6 months after Alessandro's birth, Dante officially cut all criminal ties. The Moretti Empire was now entirely legitimate. Real estate, technology, finance. The transition had cost him power and influence in the old world, but he didn't care. "I have everything that matters," he told Sophia one night, as they watched their children sleep. "You, Lucia, Alessandro. This family is my empire now. The only one I need." 2 years later, Sophia's photography had made her internationally known. She'd published a book of portraits titled Unbroken, stories of trauma survivors who'd rebuilt their lives. The book had become a bestseller, and she was being invited to speak at events worldwide. Dante supported every step, accompanying her to book signings, watching the kids when she had shoots, and proudly introducing himself as Sophia Moretti's husband. One evening at a gallery opening for her latest exhibition, a reporter asked Sophia about her success. "I spent years feeling broken," Sophia said, Dante's hand warm in hers. "But I learned that broken things can be made beautiful. Scars tell stories, and sometimes the darkest experiences lead us to the brightest light." She looked at Dante as she spoke, and the love in his eyes told her he understood. He was her light, just as she was his. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Dante surprised Sophia with a trip back to Italy. They left the kids with Gabriella and returned to the estate where they'd first fallen in love. "I wanted to show you something," Dante said, leading her to the library. There, covering an entire wall, were photographs. Their wedding day, Lucia's birth, Alessandro's birth, moments from the past 5 years, birthdays, holidays, quiet moments captured in time. "Our story," Dante said softly. "Every moment that brought us here." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "It's perfect." "No." Dante pulled her close. "You're perfect. This life we've built, this family, it's beyond anything I dreamed possible. You took a man who knew only violence and darkness and taught him about love, about hope, about what it means to truly live. You saved me too," Sophia whispered, "from a life half-lived, from fear, from believing I wasn't worthy of being cherished." They made love that night in the same bedroom where they'd first been together, where Dante had been so gentle with her broken pieces. But there were no broken pieces anymore, just two whole people who'd found each other against impossible odds. The next morning, they walked through the olive groves hand in hand. "I want to have another baby," Sophia said suddenly. Dante stopped walking, turning to her with surprise and joy. Yeah. I love our family. I love watching you be a father. And I think we have room for one more." Dante swept her into his arms, spinning her around. "You're going to give me another baby? If you want one." "Want one?" "Sophia, I'd have 10 babies with you if you wanted." He set her down, cupping her face. "Every child we make is a miracle, a piece of you and me. Of course I want another one." 8 months later, Sophia gave birth to twin girls. Dante nearly passed out when the doctor announced there were 2 babies, not one. "Twins," he kept repeating as the nurses handed him first one daughter, then the other. "We have twin daughters." Isabella and Giulia Moretti joined their siblings, and suddenly the Moretti household was beautifully chaotic. Lucia helped with her baby sisters. Alessandro was already showing signs of his father's protective nature, and Dante navigated fatherhood to 4 children with surprising grace. "How are you so good at this?" Sophia asked one night, watching him rock both twins simultaneously while reading Lucia a story and keeping an eye on Alessandro. "Because I love them," Dante said simply. "Because they're pieces of you. How could I be anything but devoted?" On Lucia's 5th birthday, they threw a party at their New York penthouse. Children ran everywhere. Laughter filled the air, and Sophia watched Dante chase Alessandro through the crowd with a water gun, both of them soaking wet and grinning. This was their life now. Chaotic, loud, full of love and laughter. So different from the dangerous world they'd left behind. Gabriella came to stand beside Sophia, bouncing one of the twins. "Look at him," she said fondly. 5 years ago, I never would have believed my brother could be this happy. This normal." "He's an amazing father," Sophia said. "He's an amazing man. You brought that out in him, Sophia. The goodness that was always there but buried under years of violence and pain. You saved him." "We saved each other," Sophia corrected. That night, after the guests had left and the kids were asleep, Dante found Sophia on the balcony. "Tired?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Exhausted. Happy." She leaned into him. "I've been thinking about my stepfather lately." Dante stiffened. "Why?" "Because I realized I've forgiven him. Not for his sake. He's dead and in whatever hell awaits. Men like him. But for mine. I don't carry that weight anymore. It doesn't define me. I'm not the scared 16-year-old girl he victimized. I'm a wife, a mother, an artist, a survivor. He took something from me, but he didn't take everything. And what I built after, this life, this family, this love, it's mine. He has no part in it." Dante turned her around, his eyes fierce. "You're the strongest person I've ever known, and I'm so damn proud of you." "I learned from the best," Sophia said, kissing him. "You showed me what real strength looks like. Not violence or power, though you have both, but the strength to be vulnerable, to love without holding back, to choose family over everything else." 2 years later, on their 7th anniversary, Dante and Sophia renewed their vows, this time with their children present, Lucia and Alessandro as junior attendants, the twins as flower girls who threw more petals at each other than on the aisle. Standing before family and friends, Dante took Sophia's hands. "7 years ago, you walked into my life and changed everything," he said. "You were this beautiful, broken thing that I wanted to protect. But I was the broken one, and you healed me. You gave me purpose beyond power. You gave me a family. You gave me everything I didn't know I needed. I vow to love you, cherish you, protect you, and choose you every day for the rest of my life." Sophia's voice shook as she responded. 7 years ago, I thought I was beyond saving, that I'd never feel safe or loved or whole. Then you appeared, this dangerous man with gentle hands and a fierce heart. You didn't just save me, Dante. You helped me save myself. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You loved me through the darkness until I found my light. I vow to love you, support you, stand by you, and choose you every day for the rest of my life." When they kissed, their children cheered, and Sophia thought her heart might burst from happiness. That night, after the celebration, after the kids were asleep, Dante led Sophia to their bedroom. He'd filled it with candles, flowers, champagne. "Dance with me," he said, pulling her close as soft music played. They swayed together, and Sophia marveled at how far they'd come, from that first terrifying question in his office to this moment. 7 years of marriage, 4 children, a lifetime of love ahead. "What are you thinking?" Dante murmured. "That I'd do it all again," Sophia said. "Every hard moment, every scary situation, every tear. I'd do it all again because it led me here, to you, to our family, to this life we've built." "I love you," Dante said fiercely. "More than I have words for, more than I thought possible. You're my heart, Sophia, my soul, my everything. And you're mine," Sophia whispered, "forever." They made love that night with the tenderness of deep familiarity and the passion that had never dimmed. And afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, they dreamed of the future, of watching their children grow, of growing old together, of a love that would endure through everything. 5 years later, Lucia was 10, Alessandro was 7, and the twins were 5. The Moretti children were happy, confident, loved beyond measure. Lucia wanted to be a doctor, Alessandro wanted to be like his papa, and the twins wanted to be everything from astronauts to ballerinas depending on the day. Sophia's photography had taken her around the world. Her book on trauma survivors had been followed by 3 more, each more successful than the last. She'd become an advocate for survivors, using her platform to help others heal. Dante had built a business empire that rivaled his criminal one in scope, but exceeded it in legitimacy. He employed thousands, gave to charities, and had completely shed the violent persona of his past. Though those who knew him understood, cross his family, and that dangerous man would reemerge. One evening, they sat on their penthouse balcony watching the sunset over New York. "Remember when we first met?" Sophia asked, her head on Dante's shoulder. "Every detail," Dante said. "You were wearing a navy dress. Your hair was in a bun. You looked terrified but trying to hide it. And when I asked you that question, about who took your virginity, something in your eyes broke my heart and awakened something I didn't know I had. Compassion? Humanity, Dante corrected. I'd lived so long as a weapon, as a tool of violence and power. But looking at you, seeing your pain, I wanted to protect instead of destroy, heal instead of hurt. You made me want to be better. You were always good, Sophia said. You just needed someone to remind you. They sat in comfortable silence as the city lights began to twinkle below. Any regrets? Dante asked. Not a single one, Sophia said. You? Only that I didn't find you sooner, that you had to survive what you did before we found each other. But maybe I had to, Sophia mused. Maybe I had to break so I could understand how to be whole. Maybe you had to live in darkness so you'd appreciate the light. Maybe everything that happened, all the pain and fear and trauma, maybe it was all leading us to each other. Dante kissed her temple. Then I'm grateful for every moment, even the hard ones, because they gave me you. On their 15th wedding anniversary, Dante surprised Sophia with one final gift. He took her back to Milan, back to the estate where they'd first fallen in love, now updated and maintained, but rarely used. Why are we here? Sophia asked as they walked through the olive groves. Because I want to show you something. He led her to a clearing where a small chapel stood, beautiful, intimate, built in traditional Italian style. I had it built over the past year, Dante explained. This is where we fell in love, where our story really began. I wanted to create something permanent here, a place our children can visit, can understand where their parents' love story started. Inside, the chapel, the walls were covered in photographs, their entire journey documented, their wedding, the births of each child, holidays, birthdays, quiet moments, a visual history of their love. At the altar stood a portrait Sophia had never seen. She and Dante on their wedding day, looking at each other with such love it took her breath away. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Here began the greatest love story. May it inspire generations to come." Sophia turned to Dante with tears streaming down her face. It's perfect. You're perfect. No, amore, we're perfect. Together. He pulled her close. 15 years, 4 children, a lifetime of love. And I'm just getting started. What else could you possibly give me? Sophia laughed through her tears. You've given me everything. How about forever? Dante dropped to one knee, and Sophia's breath caught. I know we're already married, but I want to do it again. Here, in this chapel, with our children watching. I want to renew our vows in the place where our love began. What do you say? Yes, Sophia breathed. Always. Yes. 3 months later, they remarried in the chapel. Lucia, now 15 and beautiful, stood as maid of honor. Alessandro, 12 and already showing signs of his father's commanding presence, was best man. The twins, now 10, walked their mother down the aisle, giggling the whole way. Friends and family filled the small chapel, but Sophia only had eyes for Dante. He stood at the altar in a perfectly tailored suit, looking at her, with such love it made her heart ache. When they exchanged vows this time, they'd written their own. Dante spoke first, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Sophia, 15 years ago you walked into my life and saved me. Not from enemies or danger. I could handle those. You saved me from myself. From a life without meaning, without love, without hope. You gave me 4 incredible children. You built a life with me when you had every reason to run. You loved me when I was unlovable, believed in me when I doubted myself, and stood by me through everything. I vow to spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of you, to protect our family with my last breath, to love you more each day than the day before. You are my heart, Sophia Moretti, today, tomorrow, and always. Sophia's voice shook as she responded. Dante, I was drowning when you found me. Broken, scared, convinced I'd never be whole. But you saw something in me I couldn't see in myself. You didn't just save me. You helped me become who I was always meant to be. You gave me a family, a purpose, a love so deep it transformed everything. I vow to stand by your side through every challenge, to love our children with everything I have, to choose you every single day for the rest of my life. You are my safety, my home, my everything. Today, tomorrow, and always. When they kissed, their children cheered, and Sophia knew. This was happiness. This was what she'd fought so hard to reach.